Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst is here, and we are here with Twitch chat as well. Twitch can say hello, YouTube, as well. We are here for the first class card review of Whizbang's Workshop, and it is for Death Knight. I'll mention very briefly, probably not going to say this in every video, but just if you want more detail and more explanation, we talk about it in the neutral card review video. I did edit slightly how the rating examples are going to be. We adjusted the 3-star card to be Ogre King Outlaw instead of Angry Hellhounds, probably, or Fellhound, whatever it's called. Probably a little more accurate, but just basically very briefly, a 1-star card is like a never pick, a 2-star is like a somewhat pick, occasional pick, 3-star card is sometimes pick, 4-star card is usually pick, 5-star card is almost always pick. Basically, that's the idea. So it's a very harsh grading scale. So just an example, like Chillwind Yeti is like not even a 2, it's probably a 1.5 if you're being generous. So because cards are really good nowadays. So anyway, let's jump into the Death Knight review. First card we have here is Threads of Despair. This is a 1-mana shadow spell with a single blood rune. Runes are almost irrelevant at this point because I'm pretty sure you're just going to always want to force Rainbow, basically, because Rainbow has almost everything. So at this point, runes practically don't matter, but unless it's double or triple rune, then you don't do it. But anyway, yeah, this card is give all minions, so your minions or enemy minions, Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all minions. Yeah, this thing does function somewhat similar. This with a hero power, some functions a lot like a Defile, right? If you're able to use it. I mean, it literally will be a Defile, basically, with an activator. If you need a 1, you didn't have a 1, or you need the ping to go anywhere else, that just is going to work really well. So anyway, that's got to be good, right? Because you're going to have so much flexibility. You can use this with weapons too, because of just the ease of activating it due to having the flexibility, the hero power, weapons, etc. It's probably a better card than Defile, yeah. And Defile, I don't know. I mean, I don't value Defile that highly personally because I just don't play that style, really. I tend to be more aggressive. But, I mean, I can't deny the value of this. I think Defile is a... You would probably rate Defile. For me, it's like a 2-star card, but for most people, it's probably a 3. I think this card is probably better. Like, this might be... Considering you just don't want to fill your deck with Defiles, you probably can't pick it that highly as a result. Like, it's a good card to have, but you just wouldn't take it always as a result. So it probably puts it like a 3-star card, I would say, overall. So, yeah, I'd say it's good. That is true. I mean, compared to Defile, because, yeah, it doesn't necessarily deal with Death Rattles as well. It depends on really how it's going to work, though. But I don't know, it's just going to be a really efficient board clear most of the time. I think it's strong. It's just similar to Defile, like you can't use it if you're winning or anything, but you know what you expect, right? So I think it's fine. You could also use this. That's true. You could also use this with poison, and then you just kill everything. That's still hard to do, right? Because at least as of now, that card's still undraftable, but there is a chance that you can make it poison. Yeah, it's also true. But you probably can't do that very reliably in Arena. Anyway, but I think it's a pretty strong card. Next up, Silk Stitching. 2 mana, epic spell. Choose a friendly minion, discover a spell that costs 4 or less for it to cast when it dies. This is a weird one, because I mean, from what I understand, it's like if you get something like Discover off, if you pick a Discover spell off of this, you will get to choose, right? But if it's like something like a Death Strike, a removal, you don't get to choose where it goes. So that's going to make it a little bit weird. There's certain high rolls you can get, like Tomb Guardian or something like that, you know, or Remorseless Winter, that doesn't have to target. So you just get really good value always, and you can use this with a hero power. So it's always going to be okay. I think overall it's like, it's awkward, but it's a little hard to count out any Discover card just because of how good it is. Just how good Discover always ends up being. But like, it reminds me of like Runic Adornment in Demon Hunter, where it's just like, because of how awkward it is and stuff, you just probably can't take it all that often. But it can be really good sometimes, obviously. It's just, I mean, this is really awkward, right? Probably give it like a 2 out of 5 as a result of that. I think you just, I don't know, you'd rather have something that's a little bit more reliable, probably, I would think. But it has potential. It's just, there's probably a lot of cards a lot of spells you're just not going to want. And even though it's Discover, like, it's still just not necessarily going to do what you need it to, I think. It can be good, but it's just not consistent enough. I'll still give it a 2 out of 5 because it's Discover, basically. Next up, we have Shambling Zombie Tank. There's a couple cards we have here. Also, in the new core set, by the way, there's a lot of like hand buff stuff as well, and all of it's accessible to Rainbow now, including Blood Tap, which used to be a double blood card. So everything's in Rainbow, and there's a lot of hand buff synergy now. So this is Shambling Zombie Tank, single Unholy Rune, 2 mana, 3/2, undead and mech with taunt, Battle Cry. Spend 5 corpses, summon a copy of this. So I mean, on curve you can play it. It's a 2 mana, 3/2 with taunt. But the idea would be that you hand buff this a lot, and then you spend 5 corpses, and then it's just really, really good. I mean, in that case, it's a lot worse than like spiders, right? Probably. Because you'd rather just, honestly, you'd rather just buff spiders. it's probably like worse. But unlike that, I mean, it's also just a functional 2-drop, so 5 in Blood Deck, 4 elsewhere. The thing is, I mean, honestly, I'm assuming that you're always Rainbow. Because you probably should always be Rainbow. But nowadays. But yeah, if you don't have blood, you won't have as much hand buffs consistency, so it'd be a lot worse. I think there's going to be enough consistency for the hand buff stuff that it's probably just a 5, honestly. If that's not true, obviously it's going to be a lot worse. It would probably be only a 3. But yeah, in the way you're going to probably be able to play, I'm assuming that all the hand buff stuff's going to be in Arena, that they're not doing something crazy where all those cards aren't in. But I think you literally just auto pick all the hand buff stuff right now. That's what I think. So I think it actually just gets a straight up 5. Next up, so the one exception is like you just wouldn't take it if you're like pick 28 and you know that you don't have the hand buff stuff. But next up we have Rambunctious Stuffy, 3 mana, 4/2, undead beast with Rush. After you cast a frost spell, gain Reborn. You said it's a lot of corpses, but like by the time you actually want to do it, you probably have the corpses. That would be the assumption, right? And you get the corpses back too, 2 of them. Anyway, so a 3 mana 4/2 Rush is fine, right? I mean, it's okay, but if you get a Reborn, the Reborn also has Rush, so it becomes a power corrupt version of Flanking Maneuvers is the Demon Hunter card. That does the same thing. Or also power corrupt Restless Mummy as well. I mean, but you can also, you have to cast a frost spell, but then you can also chain this. You can trade this, play a frost spell, trade this, play another frost spell, trade this. So I mean, it's pretty good. It's at least a 3. Like, there's no way it's worse than a 3, just because it's not that hard to trigger at least once, right? It's not guaranteed, but it's fine. I don't know if you can really say it's that much better, because even though, I mean, you're probably not gonna have that many frost spells. You're gonna be Rainbow, so you're not gonna have that many frost spells, but it's not gonna be that hard to get one. Even if you can get a bunch of them, you're not necessarily gonna have ideal targets to hit anyway, right? Like, the upside probably just isn't that high. I'd probably just say it's a 3 and move on, I think. I mean, it's like good, you'll take it, but it's usually just not gonna be that crazy. I think you still like it just because, to some extent, just because it's initiative. It's also good with hand buff just because it has Rush. Next up, Rainbow Seamstress. 3 mana 3/3, undead, epic, Battle Cry. If your deck started with a Blood, Frost, or Unholy card, gain Lifesteal, Reborn, or Rush. Again, I'm kind of assuming that you're Rainbow always. And then I mean, this thing's good, right? One thing to keep in mind though is that it's not crazy good because this is a battle cry, so if you get reborn, the reborn doesn't battle cry, so it comes back as a 3/1. It does not come back as a lifesteal rush. It's just a 3/1. So you heal for 3 only, and it only has rush on 1. So it's a lot worse than if it actually had reborn rush. So that makes it like fine. It's probably, I mean, it's probably just, even in Rainbow then, it's probably only like a 3-star card. It's just not that good. Because it always just, no matter what you buff it or whatever, it's still going to be just a 3/1 in the second half. But yeah, I mean, this is good with, I guess it has lifesteal, so it's slightly better, but I mean, this isn't that much better than with hand buff than this is even. So just because healing is so good, like I could see you arguing it's a 4. Like it's definitely not better than a 4 though. And that's like if you like the healing, but I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's probably a little better than those. If this is a 3, it's like a 3.5 to a 4 maybe. Would I rather have Cyclopean Crusher? Honestly, I would say it's comparable. This has lifesteal though, so it's like it's better probably. I don't know. If Crusher is really the example for a 3, then maybe this is a 3.5. This might still be a 3. I think this might be just a 3.5 then. Honestly, because it's just, it's fine. Anyway, I don't want to linger too much on one card because we have a lot of cards. Next up, Dr. Stitch and Sue. 6 mana, 6/4, undead. Battle Cry. Discover a 5, 3, and 1 cost minion to stitch to this. Death Rattle, summon the 5 cost minion. It doesn't say this, but I'm assuming that it means the 5 also summons the 3, and then the 3 also summons the 1. This thing gets completely ridiculous if any of those things have Death Rattle or Reborn. This thing just becomes completely ridiculous, right? It can obviously, you can just silence the first body and then you lose everything. But I mean, it's completely ridiculous if you high roll any of those bodies. At least, I guess the first 2. The 1 cost probably doesn't matter that much at that point. But this thing's just basically unkillable, right? Yeah. There's also a chance if you could reborn this. Well, if you reborn this, you'd have to reborn like the second body actually, right? Or you could do Death Girl. That's true. But you actually wouldn't reborn this because you wouldn't have. If you reborn this, it wouldn't do anything. You'd have to reborn like the second body or something. Reborning this would only give you another 6/1 that doesn't have a Death Rattle because there's nothing inside it. But I mean, this thing by itself is already just unbelievably sticky, right? So, I don't know if that's enough to actually give this a 5 though. If you're looking at like, well, it's like in the legendary. This is where it's like, I guess one thing about the rating system, like if this was a non-legendary, it'd be a 5, right? But as a legendary, it's definitely not. I think it's kind of unfair to rate legendaries on the same scale. Like as a legendary, this is a 4, but I think as a non-legendary, it would be a 5. So I don't know. Given that, like rate it however you think is fair to rate it. That's pretty much what I would think about it, I think. So. Maybe 5's a little too generous, honestly, but I don't know. I'll just say it's like a 4.5. Is Karen a 5? No, Karen is like a 3, maybe. Karen's like a 3, I think. Maybe a 3.5, I don't know. Next up is Darkthorn Quilter. Oh, Karen is a 6 mana 5/5. This is a 4 mana 2/4 undead Quillbore. At the end of your turn, deal this minion's attack damage randomly split among all enemies. You could also give this poison potentially, but hopefully not in arena anyway. But this is another hand buff card, so it's just another payoff for all the hand buff stuff. So I think as a result, you also just pick it very, very highly because you expect to get a lot of hand buff stuff. It is pretty important. I mean, this thing's not garbage by itself, but it's not good by itself. Is there any Quillbore? I don't think there's any Quillbore synergy. I mean, we don't know what cards are in Arena, so it's possible there will be, but like there's probably not any Quillbore synergy. You can discover Quillbores if you need to. It's a higher chance if you have Amalgam that you can discover the one Amalgam band. But yeah, the result, it's like, compared to some of the other ones, I don't know, it's like if I gave this a 5, I'd probably give this, if I gave this a 5, I don't know. This is probably just worse than this. This is still probably worse than the other thing. I don't know, it's like the upside of this is higher than this, but it's also probably, I don't know, I mean, a 2-mana 3/2 isn't that good anyway. It's probably about the same as the 2-drop, honestly. Sometimes it'll just, usually, a lot of times it'll just get removed. I don't know. It's probably the same rating. If I give the other thing a 5, I'd probably give this a 5, but I don't know. You can say like maybe those should both be like 4.5s. I'm assuming again that you're going Rainbow, you're trying to pick all the hand buff stuff. If you're not trying to go hand buff stuff, it's way weaker, right? But if you're going hand buff stuff, you just take it because that's what you're trying to build into. So that we move on. Next up, the Headless Horsemen. I don't actually understand exactly how this card works. I'm assuming this thing isn't going to be an Arena exactly, but we don't 100% know, but because usually hero cards are out, but we'll see. This is a hero card which is valid in Rainbow. 6 mana. Destroy the enemy with the most attack. Shuffle your head in your deck. You must get it back. This thing, imbue the souls of the undead into your hero power. I don't even know what this means, to be honest. What is it? I actually don't even know what this does. This can be discovered. It's very hard to discover it. It is possible to discover it, but I'm still, if we're assuming this is going to be drafted, I'm not, to be honest, I just don't really know how this works. It upgrades the hero power into just more attack. It just upgrades it? Oh, it upgrades it into this. Deal 3 damage. Discovered undead. Oh, that's insane. Okay. So that's very good if you get it, right? This thing casts, it casts Asphyxiate, and then you also have the chance of drawing this thing, which is insane. So if you get it, it's disgusting, obviously, right? But oh, you get this, but then the Discover is after you upgrade it. Okay. It starts out just being 2 mana, deal 3, and then, okay. If you can draft it, you would just pick this really highly because it's insane, but, you know, normally, we've, up to this point, hero cards are generally undraftable, but anyway, we probably shouldn't waste too much time on cards that are probably not draftable. Next up is Lesser Spinal Spellstone. 1 mana, single blood rune, give undead in your hand +1/+1, gain 5 corpses to upgrade. So it's probably like the other ones. Yeah, it's like you have to, you can only upgrade it twice. It's +2/+2 or +3/+3. But this is one of the big things that allows you to make this hand buff stuff really good. For all this stuff, like, again, compared to, I should probably be sorting these by cost, but like, you know, this is one thing is that you needed 5 corpses for this anyway, so they're going to pop off at the same time, very likely. But also, you need the corpses to upgrade, but it does not spend them, so that's very important as well. Overall, I mean, this is very, if you're going for the hand buff stuff, it's really good. The one question mark is that you usually just don't have that many undeads, right? Yeah, and it buffs all the undeads, but you usually just don't have that many undeads, but this is why you're trying to actually actively build for all of these guys. Right, so again, like, I think you really do want to just try to force this stuff, so you probably just pick it really highly. I could just be wrong about that, but it's like, this stuff just seems like it's going to be really insane to me, but the one thing about this is, like, you do need to have, like, just good corpse generation, but we will see. One thing is, and even more synergy for this, which is easier because it also feeds your corpses. Is the last one we have here. Amateur Puppeteer. 5 mana 2/6 undead with miniaturize and taunt with death rattle. Give on undead in your hand +2/+2. This is the one that's like just completely disgusting, right? This would be one where it's like, you know, it's harder to justify this as a standalone card because it's just really risky, but this card is just completely broken, right? It's like 5 mana 2/6 with taunt that also gives you a 1 mana 1/1 taunt. And then if you're hitting anything, it's already a +4/+4 hand buff. If you're hitting multiple things, if you're hitting any kind of synergy, it's completely broken, right? Like, I mean, this is like one of the big reasons. This and Spider still being in the game, presumably it's in the core set anyway. Like, the fact that all this stuff is in is why I think you just kind of want to force it, honestly. But, yeah, I mean, this is just, like, this is ridiculous. Because if you have this and then you have spiders in your hand, you just win, right? It's just... Sorry. Yeah, and you could play this, if you wanted, you could play this on 5, and then you could play this on 6, and then also reborn it, for example. You know, that's something you can do. Just kind of ridiculous. Oh, by the way, if you play this on 5, this thing will also be a 3/3 because it'll get buffed because it's an undead. So it's just, this is just ridiculous. I mean, this is like easily a 5-star card, right? So yeah, this is why the hand buff stuff's really good. And by the way, Blood Tap is a single rune card now, and I forget, isn't there? In the core set, I think there might have been one more hand buff card as well. So Soul Cage, but yeah, like this is the big card that's like completely ridiculous. It's a rare, but as long as you're going rainbow, you'll be able to do it. So now this buff's all undead in your hand. So this is ridiculous. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about. Is hand buff DK going to be the strategy? Let me see if I actually have the I probably don't have it open right now. Oh no, I do actually. We'll check very quickly. Like, No Muncher is going to be actually an unruined card. Like, these are some of the core set changes, right? Like, Swarm Guard is in. No Muncher is here. Blood Tap is a single rune card. Now, is there anything as well in core as well? You know, like Blood Tap's in. I guess that's it though. There's nothing else that's insane, but yeah. A lot of cards, if you're not aware, are losing runes. So that's why like Manipulator is only a 2, but you're probably just going to want to force Rainbow because some of these other cards as well are just really good. You're going to have access presumably to all of the Discovers because Hemachurge is 1, Mortician's 1. A lot of these cards are actually 0 rune all of a sudden, like Asphyxiate, Acolyte of Death, Spiders, so that's why Death Knight's going to be pretty crazy. So with that, again, if you watch this on YouTube, let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys all for hanging out. See you guys in the next one.